Welcome to this Sahara 4 exercise. In this exercise, we will keep working with the cross-section window, and now we will modify the peaks of some of the wells that we have selected for the cross-section. For this, we will keep working with the previous cross-section we had in Sahara. Here we have it open. We are just coming from the previous exercise. We see that it's selected here in the map. It's still plotted here, and now we will go to this cross section. The idea here is to identify the position of the layer 23 in the well D7, which in this case you can see that we have the 23 on the left in D52 and the 23 as well in the well 24 on the right. We can see based on the correlation that we have and the position of the layer and the structural position of how they are how the tendency on in the structural sense, we can see that probably the correct layer is this one, so we will mark it as the layer 23. For that, we have a number of options. We can use this option here to copy the peak from one well to the other, or if we prefer, we can just first compare. For example, let's compare here the let's do some unzoom first, and let's use this. For example, the top of 35 is quite clear here, and let's compare it to the position of the layers. And as we can see, 23, quite probably this reinforces the idea that this is 23 in D7. And if we use it on the other side, let's hide the gamma ray so we can only use the SP for the correlation. Let's drag here this curve here to compare the top of 35, and we see now that it's less clear, but more or less we can see the shape is probably as well this one, the top of 33. So as we can see, based on what we compare, this is probably the layer 23, and now we will define this peak. For that, we will go and select 23, and let's go and set the top. We can see that the top is probably over here in the change of the curvature of the SP, and more or less here. If we want to do any modification here, we want to do any change, we can use this edit peak to modify the position of the peak that we created. Here is selected, and now we can modify like this. First, you need to click on the peak. One is in this magenta color. We can modify by dragging like this. So probably we have these two as the top and the bottom of the layer. We can delete a peak that we have selected. We can delete it by clicking here. We can also measure distances if we want. We can measure the distance between 2 points here. We can see that the depth, the total thickness of the layer that we have defined is here I'm just in edit mode. Let's unclick here so I go out of this mode, and let's go to here. So the is 10 feet, more or less 10-11 feet, as we can see in the right of the window, in the lower right, we can see the distance measure as 11 feet. And here we can save the correlations that we did. Here now this has been stored as petrophysical data. We can review it now, and then we can also save the template that we have been using and the cross section as well with these specific wells selected. So I'm going to do that now by clicking here cross section, and I will select it, save it as top 23. That's 23. That's why we created this correlation to define the top of this layer in the well. Let's include the well D7. So now we have this correlation here where we have defined that top. So well, that will be everything for this tutorial. Remember that you can create your own cross sections with any well that you want to select by right clicking on the map with cross section with this option here. You can also modify the cross section that you have already selected, and You can also, as we did in this case, you can use these options here to. I will unselect the tops here. No correlations, okay. I want to unselect the peaks, sorry. So you can use these options as well to create new peaks that will be stored as petrophysical data. So we can check it here if you want. Petrophysical data. We were reviewing the well D7, so we will select the well D7 and the layer 23. So we should check if the tops have been stored properly. So top and base are now stored as petrophysical data in the project, and we have created this modification in our petrophysical data with this new top and base based on the information of the cross section that we did. So that will be everything for this tutorial, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.